Alright, so this next deck is the Conscious Spirit Oracle. Now, this deck was one of the first decks I got. It was really great when I got it. But the one thing I don't like is I feel like this backing is kind of a tease, because I really wish the deck more looked like this than what the art actually looks like in this deck. This is definitely a beginner deck. I really don't use this deck anymore. I'm thinking about gifting it, but there's something about it that's really special to me. I really like see, like, this is the cover, and this is this, and I feel like this is the tease. It's not really a good representation of what the art in here looks like. So it does have the element symbols, and a little bit, you know, of a key phrase here, but I just don't really feel like the front of the deck or anything does, really shows you what these cards really look like. So I don't really pull them very, ooh, I like that. Yeah, the cardstock is good. It's really nice. I mean, it's a nice deck if you're into the art, but because I don't really get drawn into this art very much, like, I like elves, and I like, you know, the Fae energy, but this doesn't really express to me. I do like that one. I don't know. I just don't connect to the art. That's all. But it is a beautiful deck. If you are drawn to the art, this is a really great beginner deck for sure. There is a youngness or a playfulness to this deck. It's very whimsical. It just doesn't go deep enough for me anymore. But yeah, when I first got this deck, it was really a lovely deck to use. It does come with a little white book, so we've got about 41 pages. And you just have this little, you know, little bit, and the messages are lovely. I have used this with other people, and they love it. So, you know, all decks are, you know, have their place, have their purpose, and so I appreciate each deck for its own, you know, unique message, and you know, each deck was created with love and, you know, with thought and care, and so I do, you know, I appreciate that. But you know, some just, you know, are for a different part of the journey, and that's okay. That's good. A lot, you know, don't get attached to the deck that you're using. The decks will come and go, and you have different messages for you, and that's really great. It shows that you're growing and building and evolving. And you know, some people go in the other direction. You know, there's really intense decks, and then what they want is, you know, they've learned a lot, and they just want a lot of self-love, and they want simple things and simple messages. They want to, you know, tap into their own intuition, and that's really good too. You know, whatever floats your boat. All right, so this next deck is the Oracle of the Dragon Fae. And I haven't used this deck a lot recently, but I used it a whole heck of a lot before I went to Australia, and it was really one of the main decks that I used, and it was beautiful. You know, like coming into yourself, you know, deciding to move into your spirituality. I really feel like that's what this deck did for me. If you like dragons, you're gonna like this deck. So this deck is about the dragons and the Fae energy that goes along with them. The art is beautiful. One of my all-time favorite cards in any deck is in this deck, and I pulled it many times before going to Australia, and it was really powerful. It really was an important card for me as I moved into that space. This looks like Jimmy Manton. Is that who does this? Who does the art for this? I don't know, but that's definitely Jimmy Manton. Oh, you know what it is? This has several different artists, and this is the, yeah, this is all coming back to me. This is the, like, second edition, and they changed some of the art to Jimmy Manton. Not a fan of this card. Anyway, which is weird because I usually like the lovers. So they actually took out some of the art and put in new art. So I believe Racine has a video, OwlMoon513, of the difference between the two decks. So if you're interested in that, I do like this one with Jimmy Manton's art better because, let's be honest, damn. Lady Titania. This is one of my favorite cards. This is Gaia's Dragon Divine Union, and I freaking love this card. This card was exactly what I needed when it came up, and it used to come up all the time, and I just adore that. But look at that. Look, isn't that beautiful? So yeah, very powerful very powerful deck, very ethereal. So this is the book. It's a pretty good book, pretty substantial. Yeah, around 160 pages each card. So it has, God, this card always comes up for me, and I don't like that card, so, you know, that's probably why it comes up. The Pendragon, pure male energy. So the Pendragon speaks, so it's from his point of view, then about Pendragon, divinatory meetings, working with the Pendragon. So yeah, so it goes into many different levels of the card, which is really cool. I really recommend this deck. I think it's good for a beginner to intermediate kind of level of card reading. You know, it tells you the truth. It tells you what's going on for you, but there is still this loving, gentle aspect to it that's really good. So it's not too heavy. Let's see. Alright, this next deck is Oracle of the Angels. Now, I don't really do angels. I mean, I do. I have a resistance to them because of leaving the Christian faith. So, but I do believe they are interdimensional beings. They have their own thing. They're amazing. They are. I just don't personally connect with them a lot. I did more when I was in Australia because the energy shop in which I worked had a lot to do with angels. So I was actually able to interact with Archangel Michael and Gabriel and Raphael, and that was really beautiful, but they definitely don't come into my practice a whole heck of a lot. This deck is a little more of the cosmic side of the angels, which is probably why I got it. It's funny, I bought this deck, and then gave it away. Then someone else gave this deck to me. So, yeah, I still think I might give it away because I really don't use this deck, but it is lovely. The messages are lovely. It's just, I have that, I don't really connect to the angel energy. That's it. But if you like angels and you like cosmic stuff, you're going to like this deck. I think this is more of like a beginner deck. It's pretty simple. It's, you know, just one-page descriptions in a little book. I do like this. That's beautiful. That's freaking beautiful. I love that. I'm not a huge fan of this artist. It's a little too airy fairy light, but it goes perfectly with the energy of the deck, so perfect. I don't really have a lot to say about this deck because I do like that, because I don't connect with angels, so I don't really have a good, you know, this is why it's good, this is why it's not, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, so there's that. The book is small. Let's see, we've got, let's say, 59 pages, and you can see there's just a little thing on each one. Very simple. So yeah, if you are more interested in the angel aspect of cards, this will probably be more to your liking. I definitely tap more into the shadow work, the deep nitty-gritty stuff, so it's just not a deck that I personally use a lot, but hey, again, whatever floats your boat. Alright, this next deck is Oracle of the Shapeshifters by Lucy Cavendish and Jasmine Beckett Griffith. I went through a period of time where I got a lot of Jasmine Beckett Griffith decks, and I just don't really use them anymore, like, I'm not gonna lie. But when I do, when I pull them every once in a while, they always have a beautiful messages. You know, the cards always come through when you need to hear whatever that card says. And even though you might not use a deck a lot, the messages are always, you know, always there. The universe speaks through everything. All right, so this has like a little like key phrase thing here. So this is about the idea of these shapeshifters. So these beings shift into the being that they're holding, I think. I think that's how it goes down. Yeah. So again, if you like Jasmine Beckett Griffith, go for this. Lucy Cavendish's decks aren't really meaty enough for me. But again, whatever message comes through to you is really beautiful. It's funny, Lucy Cavendish, like, she's not my favorite artist, but occasionally I'll just get sucked into one of her drawings and I'm just like, wow. Like, the eyes are just, they just pull you in. They've got a lot of emotion behind them. So here's the book. I would say this is closer to more of a beginner deck. Yeah, we've got around 172 pages. Each one, let's see. About upon a midnight dreary. Oh, we've got some keywords here. Oh, yeah. We got Once Upon a Midnight Dreary Speaks, and then Divination. So this is good. There is a whimsy to this. I would say it's more, I don't want to say a childish deck, but there is that aspect to it. It's a little more, I don't want to say simple. I don't know, it doesn't get into super deep stuff, like, you know, if that makes sense. Let's see. I think I am going to get rid of, like, a lot of my Jasmine Beckett Griffith decks, not because they aren't beautiful, but just because I'm trying to pare down, and I just don't use her decks. The one I probably would keep is the Lay Vampire deck, though. Alright, so this one is the Myths and Mermaids, Oracle of the Water. This is a really beautiful deck. Like, I really do like this. Of all the Jasmine Beckett Griffith decks, I like this deck more for the art. The art in this I really, really enjoy. The one thing I don't like is it does have these sideways cards, and I understand you get to have that you know, that bigger picture, and I do appreciate that for, you know, that idea, but honestly, just having the sideways cards, because then it screws with the spread. So you either have to have the picture sideways, or you have to have these sideways cards, which is annoying. So yeah, if anyone's making decks, don't do that. You know, if you want to sell to me. Other people might like it, and that's fine. I love this picture. Venus. Yeah, I think there's actually like just as many sideways cards as there are upright cards. Ooh, that's pretty. Stardust Angel. Oh, look at that. I don't think the camera's gonna do it justice. There's a darkness to Jasmine Beckett Griffith that is always intriguing. Yeah, so there's that. The book, yeah, Blue Angel, so that's good. We've got blah 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 blah. Ooh, well, that's what Jasmine Beckett Griffith looks like. For some reason, that doesn't surprise me. All right, let's see. All right, around 107 pages, so you've got a little thing here, divination meaning, expand your timeline, antithesis, it's time to accelerate your life, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, divination meaning, antithesis. So yeah, so you can see how much, yeah, that's got a little bit of a longer poem thing. I think it is a poem. Blah, 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 yeah, it is a poem. Sorry guys, I'm starting to fade here, but I only have a couple decks left, so should I plug through? Should I do this? Yeah? Alright. Oh god. No, taking a break. It's happening. Alright, we'll come back in a minute, and yeah. So the next deck is Wild Wisdom of the Faerie Oracle. And this deck I used a lot more before I went to Australia. I really haven't used it a lot recently. I'm not really drawn to use it, but it does intrigue me. The art isn't like, some of the art I really like. Some of the art I'm not a huge fan of. Like this I'm not as much of a fan of this type of art. So I'm not really super drawn to use this deck. Again, I have a lot of my own experiences with, see, I like this better, with Fae and Fairy, so like, I feel like that's how I like to connect with that energy. It's been a really long time since I've used this deck, so I don't really have a lot to say about it necessarily. I do like the fact that in this deck there are a lot of like masculine energies. So there is a more of a balance. I know a lot of fairy decks tend to seem to have like a lot of female energy, so it's kind of cool that there is a little bit of a balance in that sense. Well, not a whole lot. See, like, I'm not a huge fan of this type of art here. The cardstock is pretty good. Yeah. So that's that one. The book is rather large. It is by Lucy Cavendish. Yeah, it's a pretty large book. It's almost 200 pages. And each card has a lot of information. So And it's got a whole thing on the card, and then it's divinatory meaning, reverse meaning, and you can see, like, it's a lot, it's pretty good. And yeah, it's a pretty big book. So I'm not 100% sure I'm going to keep this deck. I don't really use it a lot, and I'm just, there are other fairy decks that I'm a little more drawn to. But even so, like I said before, I'm not super drawn to work with fairy decks just because I really like having my own personal relationship with them. And I feel like a lot of decks don't really, you know, express the energy that I feel with the Fae. And so I'm just not really drawn to use them. Whereas like using the Kuan Yin or the Isis Oracle really feels like the energy of the being I'm working with. Alright, so this next deck is the Wisdom for Healing cards, and this is kind of a different deck. Each card has a picture on it with like a little, you know, key phrase or whatever, and then on the back there's a today's lesson. So this deck, let me see if I can, this deck doesn't come with a book. So it's very, very simple. It's a great, you know, deck to like pull a card in the morning. And the art is really pretty. I don't use this deck as much as I used to. I don't tend to use so much like, you know, daily decks like in this sense very much anymore. I tend to go for the, like I said, the meatier decks. But this is really lovely, and when I have used it, it really has brought in some beautiful messages. So again, this would be a really good like beginner deck, or like one that you might put on the coffee table to share with friends. It's a really cool thing, and the art is very gentle, like the messages are very gentle and very healing. So it's definitely a really pretty deck. I do like the fact that there is like racial variety in it. It really has a beautiful vibe to it, very earthy, very heart-centered, and I really like that. Anyway, so that's that deck. Alright, so this next deck is the Medicine Cards Oracle, and this I would have to say is probably my favorite spirit animal deck. I will say I am not a huge fan of the backs of these. I don't really feel like it goes, and the cardstock is just awful. But this deck is lovely and is really magical. So I believe this is the second edition because there are more animals, and it also comes with these extra cards for you to add your own animals, which I think is cool. I don't actually have the book with me. I brought it to Australia and I think it's still packed, but there's a pretty big book. It's gray, it's hardcover, it's lovely, and there's a couple pages on each animal. And these animal cards are simple, but they really just they really have beautiful, clear messages. So this deck is based off of the Native American, North American kind of animals from what I can tell. And the book is very much based in that sort of belief and that way of seeing animals. Very much is like animals as a guide, animals as a teacher. And I love these little like totems down here. They're really, really cool. And I believe all of these mean something specific. I forget if they actually show up in the book, like what they mean. But yeah, it's really cool. I'm trying to remember exactly how the book is set up. But if you're looking for a real Native American, you know, animal totem kind of deck, there are several of them, but I genuinely suggest this. And I know a lot of other readers who really do prefer this deck to anything else. I'm not a huge fan of how like the cards are designed, but and again, like they're not a really good quality, but the book and the little pictures of the animals are just really lovely. And I really do like this. Well, see, like this wouldn't be Native American, but the feeling of the cards really is Native American. So anyway, this is a beautiful deck. I highly recommend it if you want to delve into spirit animal work. Like I said, the book is amazing, and I really am glad I have this as a part of my my collection. I believe these wildcats and things like this are actually newer to the deck, so I feel like they added them in later. So I feel like the animals were more Native American until recently, but I'm actually really glad of that because I really love cat energy, and so they brought more of that into the deck. So that was really cool. Alright, so last but certainly not least, we have the Magical Times Empowerments cards, and this is one of the earlier decks that I had. I don't really feel like the backing really suits the front, but I like both. The cardstock is really lovely, and this is a fairy deck. I really, well, fairy deck? Yeah, it is a fairy deck. This deck feels a little better to me when it comes to the flower fairy energy. It's a little more subdued, it's a little more earthy. I really like that. I really like these because they're simple. So there's a little keyword, and then there's a little like, you know, like a suggestion or thing to meditate on. And I really connect to these. I know a lot of people who own these. They're great to put, like I said, like on the coffee table. They're a great little like first deck to have. The box, I will say, is a really cool box. It's really different from a lot of other deck boxes, so that's really nice. There's something about this deck that I really like. It's not typically the style of a deck I would use, but this one feels really good. The feeling of the card is not shiny, and I think that's a big part of it. I know that seems simple, but that's I really like that. So I haven't been able to use this deck a lot because I did pack it away when I was in Australia. But before I went to Australia, I had it on one of my altars, and I would pull the cards from it pretty regularly, and it was very soothing. It was very healing, but it also just brought a very clear message. Like, I was actually surprised at like how powerful these cards were, and I really enjoyed those. One of my friends, he has an altar with a few decks on it, and he oftentimes will pull cards from this and then these the medicine cards deck that I showed you just before, and the messages that would come through the two decks together were really magical and oftentimes very much lined up. So that was really cool to bring in the Fae and then the Native American energy. I really like doing that with him. But anyway, this is a really lovely deck. I do highly recommend this, again, for beginners or people who like the Fae energy. It feels really good to me. There's a little more of like a cosmic feel to it, more of an ethereal, instead of it like cutesy and flowery, it's more ethereal to me. And this is the little book that comes with it. I don't often use this book, but there's just this little blurb on each one, so it's not like a whole lot on each one, so I don't really feel it's super necessary, but the book is nice. What it says in the book is really lovely. And there's only yeah, like 20-25 pages, and there's a couple little spread things in here. But yeah, really simple deck, really lovely energy, and even though it's a little more simple and I don't really use a lot of decks like this typically, I actually do find that this one is one I do like to pull out more often than not. So you guys, that was my entire Oracle and Tarot deck collection. If you have any questions, please comment down below. Or if you'd like me to review any decks, please let me know. I'm always purchasing them and doing new things. So I will eventually do another update video, but it's probably going to be a long time coming since I've been collecting for several years, and this is the first deck collection video I've done. But I will probably keep up with it with unboxings and things like that. If you like this video, please give it a like and hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Like I said, I do unboxings and reviews quite frequently. Please give it a share if you enjoyed it. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Many blessings. Namaste. And don't forget, it's all about the soul journey.